Hello my friends, Lisa here. Welcome back to my channel. I've got a very internet-y video for you today, very niche, very internet meta. I'm going to be talking about Reddit. I've talked about Reddit a few times in the past and we're going to be talking about it again. What am I still doing on Reddit 3 years after r/gendercritical was banned? Well, mostly looking at cats, but when I'm not looking at cats, sometimes I like to read about politics, and the best place for that is r/stupidpol. I have subscribed and unsubscribed to stupidpol many times over the years. It has its issues, and I just reach a point sometimes where it's way too annoying to deal with, and I stop reading it for a while, and then I always come crawling back because really, it's the best place on Reddit to read about our specific kind of politics. It's one of the only places on Reddit where you can have honest conversations about the way trans rights negatively impact women's rights. They're also anti-prostitution, which is very rare amongst even leftist subreddits, like Late Stage Capitalism and Anti-Work are both pro-prostitution. And for me, it's been a good place to find some of the stories that I talk about on my streams, which have to do with this woke stuff. I have definitely found material on there. I don't use a lot of the internet. I'm not on Twitter. I'm not on any other social media, TikTok, Instagram, or anything like that. So I have limited resources for finding out about these news stories, and it's been a really good place for that. But they have a little misogyny problem. They have a little misogyny problem, which is why I've come and gone over the years. I've been a poster and a commenter there, and my stuff always does really well there because I think I know how to self-censor and keep my feminism kind of on the DL there and just talk about other stuff. And, you know, having to play along to be in this little boys club is not really the greatest, and I want to sort of critique that, and it's not the greatest for them either. It's not the greatest for leftist men to be misogynist and to exclude women. It's very hypocritical and it doesn't make any sense, but I'm going to get into all of that in this video. First of all, let's talk about what is r/stupidpol. Well, it's a leftist, Marxist-oriented subreddit focused on workers' struggle, working class stuff. Many people there are unionists. I'm assuming some people there are actually activists in real life. Maybe some people are just keyboard warriors. No shame in that. But it's also a place to talk about the way identity politics functions solely, pretty much, to tear the left apart and to keep progressives fighting amongst each other rather than going after the real enemy on the right or amongst capitalists or whatever. I would say the whole subreddit could be summed up by that cartoon about the capitalist with the cookies, putting fear into the white worker that the immigrant is going to steal his cookie. It's that kind of stuff. It's keeping the working class divided. And so there's a lot of topics on there that definitely draw the interest of radical feminists, and there are radical feminists on there. That is a small subset of the subreddit because there's really no other place for us on Reddit. There are some other little niche feminist groups, but to talk about all of that stuff in that specific way, that's pretty much it. And it's amazing that it's still there after so many other spaces like that have been banned, but c'est la vie. A little bit about me, if you happen to be new here. I am an unapologetic leftist. I'm a socialist. I'm pro-union. I've never voted for a Republican. In fact, I've spoken at length many times that alliances with the right wing are terrible political strategy, especially specifically for gender critical people, which is a community that I am adjacent to, but I feel like I'm the only or one of the only people saying that we should not make alliances with right-wing people. That's pretty much where I stand. I myself am working class, so the worker struggle is my struggle. I am a woman and a feminist. Do I fit in this space? I don't know. I really don't, actually. Something that I've kind of gone back and forth on over the years is, as working class women, what is our core struggle? Is our core struggle a workers' struggle, or is our core struggle a feminist struggle? When I'm reading more stuff oriented around workers' rights and socialism and stuff like that, then I sort of drift in that direction. And when I'm reading more feminist stuff, then I sort of drift in that direction and thinking this is our primary core struggle. But I think the thing that I always come back to is this idea that no matter the socio-political system, capitalism, communism, caveman times, like sexism has always existed. Sexism, violence against women, misogyny have always existed. It's existed at every level of, income. It is just such a core struggle for women that I do think it really supersedes the workers' struggle. That being said, it's essentially impossible to get men on board with fighting on behalf of women or fighting our feminist struggle with us. And the only thing we can really get them to care about is the workers' struggle or the struggle towards socialism. And you know what? It just so happens that when conditions improve for workers, it disproportionately benefits women. When we move towards a more socialist society, it disproportionately benefits women. And I've talked about this in the past, that shifting from purely feminist activism towards more socialist activism that's not woman-centered, or towards workers' activism that's not woman-centered, is a way to get men to fight on behalf of women without ever mentioning the word woman. As far as getting men to be allies, if that's even a goal, that's really probably the best that we can do. And it might not be that bad. I don't know. There was a post the other day called "The Real Reason Men Flock to Andrew Tate and Jordan Peterson." That was by a gal, supposedly, who knows, everybody's anonymous on the internet, and she posted it on stupidpol. From reading it, I knew, they're gonna tear this scroll apart, mainly because this just doesn't fit here. And I did feel like it's the wrong sub. And that should have been the response. The response should have just been wrong sub, and then moderators delete it or whatever, and we move on with our day. I actually agreed with the thrust of her argument, was that the reason why men follow Andrew Tate and Jordan Peterson is not because they lack role models or they're bored and depressed. It's because men have an inherent desire to have this idea reinforced that misogyny is natural and normal and that men should dominate women. And so when you have men saying that, they're gonna get popular because that's what men want to hear. So I agree with her argument. The boys there really didn't like it. They were quite defensive about it, but they actually really proved her point with their misogynistic replies. Again, it was the wrong sub for this post. It doesn't really fit in with the rest of the oeuvre there, but should have more or less been ignored for that reason. And men took this opportunity to just go at her like piranhas. You want to know how men really feel about us, and how men on the left, that we think these are our brothers, these are our comrades, these are our allies. They're not. This is what they're really like. Mask off, talking to a woman, not even talking amongst themselves, but talking to a woman. So let's take a look at some of the things they said. Being mad at a woman for the way she acts is like being mad at a child for the way they act. Yikes. You should really chill out on reading Dworkin. It just seems like lonely women who are terminally online are still obsessed with feminism. Feminists tried to push a hateful idea into this space, which is that a good man is one that is not a dirty, evil beast. This implies men are by nature like that and need to work on themselves to avoid ruining other people's lives. They do. This idea also tries to guilt trip men while imposing a really low expectation, which further implies that everyone's lives will be just fine and dandy if men get their nature under control. They can't. And that there's really nothing positive for men to contribute to society. They said it, not me. Sweetheart, I wasn't talking about the rad femmes. I was actually talking about the rightoids, who coincidentally, the rad femmes have this weird pernicious alliance with against trans women. I personally think the reason rad femmes hate trans women is because they are not the highest on the victim hierarchy anymore. Radfems say they're a feminist, but they are not. Their motivations are not to protect women and girls. If they are protected as a byproduct, then great. The truth is they hate men. They hate trans women because they hate men. They are female supremacists motivated by hatred. They think that Jordan Peterson is the same as Tate because anyone that challenges their supremacy is a vile enemy, one and the same. They will get this sub banned if they can. That is obviously one of their goals. At this point, what is a feminist? There are so many different opinions that vary person to person that it just seems like a term that someone can inject whatever meaning they want into it. Kind of true. Radical feminism just comes off as ending up promoting conservative and traditional ideals anyways, especially with men who struggle or have challenges with socializing and romantic stuff. Their response tends to be basically, men should be more traditionally masculine if you read between the lines. Middle-class white women have largely been able to abuse any demographic without having to be accountable for their actions. Now there is a group of people they can't abuse, talking about trans women, and I think some of them have been severely psychologically damaged as a result. The phrase equality feels like oppression when you are privileged originally came from men's rights activists. Then the Radfems took it and created all kinds of new delusions. It is true though, white Western women are called Karen for a very good reason. We've had this Radfem infestation going on for a while. You don't speak for all women, only an extremely small, terminally online, morbidly obese collective of women that only exist online. Get lost or get effed, though good luck with the latter with your views on men. Earplugs are a thing, so I still think they have a shot if they really try. Feminists are actually more dependent on men than the average woman is because your form of dependence is parasitic instead of reciprocal. Are you paying for dinner? Are you serving on the front lines? Even girl boss women are only dating men that are richer than them. They're not dating some bum in Home Depot. You're not just a misandrist, you're a misogynist denying the vast majority of women's sexual preferences for millennia. All women had to do to survive and pass on their genes was survive childbirth. And my favorite, Islam is right about women. Well, this is obviously hypocritical for two reasons. First, because the thrust of this thread and the reason people were disagreeing with it was they were saying men aren't misogynist by nature. That's not the reason they follow Jordan Peterson and Andrew Tate. And then they go to spew all this misogyny, which is super hypocritical. But the other issue with it is that language like this, it's not just a signal to the poster of this post. It's to any woman who reads this thread and reads these men's thoughts. That as a woman, as a feminist, this is not a community that you're welcome in. And that's really dumb. That's really dumb on their part to alienate this huge group of women who share virtually all their beliefs, right? Radical feminists by nature are leftists. Many of us are socialist or whatever we choose to label ourselves with. We're pro-workers' rights and we have all the same beliefs as these guys. So why create this community and then alienate people who could contribute to it? It just doesn't really make any sense. But that's, again, when we think about what's the core struggle, even amongst these leftist men who are supposed to be our brothers, supposed to be our comrades, supposed to be our allies, we find this deep-seated misogyny and sexism kind of underlying all their beliefs. Is it all men? It doesn't matter. It's enough of them to push us out of these spaces. Again, what should have happened in this case is people should have ignored it. They should have written wrong sub and the mods should have just deleted it. They did end up locking it, which is not the same as deleting it because all this misogyny is still on display. It's still there to send a signal to women. This is not a place where you are welcome. I don't think these men take any time to understand what radical feminism is, what feminism means. Feminism is just the assertion that we are human and deserve equal human rights to men. That's it. You know, we expect misogyny to come from conservatives. Do we expect it from leftist men? Well, it's there whether we expect it or not. You know, I did a poll on my channel a few months back where I asked who's worse, conservative men or woke bros. You know, woke bros are even a different flavor than these leftist men, because woke bros do say trans women are women, and they do say sex work is work and all that nonsense. I would still say conservative men are just far and away worse, but guess who won my poll? It was the woke bros. It was the men on the left. And I think the reason is because there's this extra layer feeling of betrayal. There's mismatched expectations. Like, we expect conservative men to be terrible, so when they are, it's not really anything shocking. We kind of, I guess, expect better from leftist men, and so when they're terrible, it's like that extra layer of disappointment. So anyways, those are just my thoughts. It's been pouring rain this whole time, so hopefully it didn't fuck up my audio too much, and I'll catch up with you next time. Take care.